Good God, please let there be basketball soon. This is episode 18 of the Royal City Hoops podcast. I'm just squeezing this in. It's been a big week of back to work, no school, so what the heck do I do with my kids? Trying to get work done, trying to survive, trying to deal with my elderly parents. All said and done, it's a raging dumpster fire of a life right now. I'm 2 days late on this, but we're getting it done. The lighting sucks, but hey, let's power through. So, announcements coming hopefully this week that the NBA is going to be playing basketball in some way, shape, or form by the end of July. Thank you. Amazing. I am so pumped. I was going to talk about the most overpriced contracts, the biggest dead money in the NBA. And then this announcement came along and this is what I had to talk about. Very interesting format that they're going to try to come up with. So this is being voted on by the owners this coming week. I believe it's going to be Thursday. Amazing. They are talking about some play-in or round robin play, 20 or 22 teams, and then playoffs. Players, it seems, are very reluctant to jump right into the playoffs, which makes total sense because they're going to be really rusty and you need some warm-up. However, there are also some teams fighting for end-of-season positioning. In my mind, both conferences are kind of set 1 through 8. However, in the Western Conference, there are 3 teams, 3.5 games out, who still feel like they would have had a fighting chance. So we may be looking at a 22-team playoff system. So there's going to be some play-in for 7, 8, 9, 10, which could kind of play into that. But all in all, in my mind, it's relatively set. There's some teams that could have some complaints, like not the Timberwolves. It would be, they're not making the playoffs for a long, long time. The Trailblazers had the easiest schedule going into the remaining part of the season, and the Grizzlies had the hardest, or one of the hardest. So the probability there kind of switched that towards the end of the season that the Blazers could make that 8th seed. So it would make sense to have some play-in games. But again, Dame Lillard made a really good point. Like, why are you going to play if you don't have a chance to make the playoffs? So there's a whole slew of teams. I think it was decided a little while ago or started being talked about by Brian Windhorst. Things have been so busy, I haven't really been able to keep up with my own podcast listening, let alone make one. And what has been discussed was that there were not going to be 30 teams coming back. If you're a team that has no chance of making the playoffs, what's the point of ending the season? Windhorst did enlighten us to the fact that their television contracts are on the line. So teams, if they do not fulfill their television contracts, which I think is a minimum number of 60 games, will fork over a lot of money, as for some teams in upwards of $10 million. So there is some importance of getting that done. Now, further to that, they've kind of talked about a 1 through 16 seeding, which has been put back and forth over the years, which now would be the time to do it. And I think we're going to have some pretty crappy basketball. First round basketball sucks anyways. One of the great things about 1 through 16 is you're making sure that the best teams advance and that they get through, and you're going to have the best matchups later in the playoffs. If you get stuck with, say, separate conferences and you have a team that has a bad matchup and then it just doesn't work out, then later on, so say a 3 loses to a 6, and then you have 6 playing 2, and that's just a blowout. You want the later rounds to be better, and playing 1 through 16 does that. Now, if you're the Eastern Conference, are you really going to want to play 1 through 16 and just get your head handed to you if you're not Milwaukee or the Raptors? Probably not. You could make a case for Boston that they're a decent team, but if you're Philadelphia and I think they're at 12, they'd be a 12 seed. Do you want that? To have almost the entire Western Conference has better records than the Eastern Conference. So it's going to be challenging how they're going to work that, but it would be interesting. What I like about the NBA is they're willing to try new things. They're willing to make the game more interesting and exciting. And I don't get the argument of purists in that it undermines the spirit of the game. Just give me some damn basketball. I don't care 1 through 16. You know, there's talk that this season's going to get an asterisk next to it. Whatever. It's hard. It's hard to win an NBA championship under any circumstances. And are you going to tell me that it's harder to go through the season and then into the playoffs and win? Or is it going to be harder to sit at home for 2 months and then ramp up? I mean, which one is harder? I don't know. So I think the whole asterisk debate is just completely dumb from an epic standpoint. You know, I mean, just Donald Trump style dumb. That's what I think. Now, on the other side, I think there could be something really, really interesting done on the loser bracket, or say the lottery teams, the teams that aren't in it. Could you not create a tournament or some type of format where they can get some games in, and that either increases the probability of them getting more ping pong balls in the lottery machine, or you know, the later picks are more, you can move up. I think that could be a really interesting way to do it. Maybe you have a round robin. Maybe you have a tournament. Maybe you have, again, same thing as the other side. You have a little bit of game play, like a little bit of pool play, and then tournament play, and then maybe you have a chance, you know, you increase your ping pong ball selection, or you know, that is how it, you know, you win that tournament, you get the number 1 pick, or however. The NBA is smart. They could figure out how to work it. But again, will they? Can they? I mean, this is very complicated. You have a sense of venues. Would you then have both, you know, the real playoffs and the lottery playoffs in the same location? Probably not. So now you got to go finding another venue to play that. They're really trying to figure out a way to do this in a safe manner where they limit the number of people involved with each team, you know, so maybe you don't have a full complement of coaches, you know, maybe you don't have 3 bench coaches and 4 guys in the back row and a video coordinator and all of that. Maybe it's just, you know, your medical staff, the head coach and 2 assistants, and everybody else does it all remotely. They have to limit the number of personnel around so that it isn't contagious. How are they going to get the athletes to DisneyWorld? They're talking about doing a DisneyWorld or Disneyland. I can't remember which one it is. How are they going to get everybody there? They can't fly because then in some places they're going to have to quarantine. So is this just going to be a massive tour bus tour where like every NBA player gets a tour bus and drives down with their staff, which would be pretty amazing. I think that could be a YouTube channel in and of itself. Like, who would you want to see on a bus for, you know, 6 days driving cross country? I mean, think about it. Who would you want to see? Oh, that's a good question. I mean, J.R. Smith, that one would just have a lot of smoke coming out the side of the bus. But again, that would be interesting too. But again, we got a little sidetracked there. The logistics of getting it done is going to be very, very complicated. Once you have personnel there, you know, if they're eliminated, can they leave? Can they come back? How is it going to work with their families? Those are all very complex. What are you going to do for payouts? Playoff checks. That's been very contentious because the NBA Players Association and the league, you know, players want their money. There's going to be no regular season games, but the league losing TV money, losing gate revenue, there's going to be no fans. How are you going to generate that? I mean, that brings up another question. Watching the games, no fans. Are you even going to have, probably no sideline reporters, or maybe some. They're going to be quarantined. How many people from ESPN are you going to have there? There was talk that this could be a real chance to move into a sort of VR, multiple camera angles and all that stuff to give a real experience. One thing I'm super juiced about and that I've always wanted to do, one of my bucket list things is to sit literally right behind the bench so I can hear what the players talk to each other about during the game, or where I can hear them talking during the game. Never mind talking trash or any of that. Like, I'm a big basketball nerd. If you told me I had to pay-per-view for NBA practice right now, I would pay for it. The closest thing I'm getting to NBA is that my 7-year-old got NBA 2K20 and I'm watching the replays of that. That's how sad it is right now. So I am starved for basketball, and I'm really, really curious. I think it'll be really interesting what they do with the video and audio from that. I mean, they have a tape delay. How many F-bombs are going to be dropped? Like, I want to hear that. I want to hear the bleep outs. It'll be amazing. What do you want to hear? What are you looking forward to? If they suddenly say it's go time, what do you miss the most? I just miss basketball in general, like watching it. But what do you miss? That's all I'm going to have for today. I'm glad I got this squeezed in. I'm going to try to get this posted tonight, which is Sunday, which is 2 days late. Sorry. But hey, I'm doing the best I can. So like if you like, comment if you got something to say, and subscribe at your own risk.